Even those who are gone are with us as we go on. Our journey has only begun. Tears of pain, tears of joy, one thing nothing can destroy is our pride. Deep inside we are one. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are one. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are one. Together we are one. Hallelujah, we are one. Together we are one. Hallelujah, we are one. Together we are one. Even those who are gone are with us as we go on. Our journey has only begun. Tears of pain, tears of joy, one thing nothing can destroy is our pride. Deep inside we are one. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are one. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are one. Together we are
Hello and welcome to OneTV Port Harcourt again. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of May, 2022. Another sunny day, and I believe that everywhere you are in and outside Nigeria, you are having fun, and it's going to be a great time again with you. Today we are about to start the program newspaper review, and my guest is Flora Duke, a journalist of long standing, and it shall be an interesting time. My name is Didi West, and let's go straight to the newspapers. Today we start with the Punch, and the first story on that paper is something that I believe Nigerians will be very concerned about. It says, Nigerians to pay more as GSM operators plan 40% tariff hike. Nigerians to pay more as GSM operators plan 40% tariff hike. Do the mathematics. We'll be back. It's one of the topics we are taking for People's Parliament. Our next paper is activists threaten to sue Buhari over NIS boss tenure extension. The Nigerian Immigration Service, the boss, time has been extended again by the president, and somebody is threatening to sue him. The next story following that is power firms owe banks 861.14 billion naira amid worsening electricity crisis. Power firms owe banks 861.14 billion naira amid worsening electricity crisis. Flora, you want to make a comment on that? This is a huge sum, 864.14 billion.
One will begin to ask very important question is what have they been doing with funds or proceeds incurred in the course of rendering services? Of course, Nigerians, they pay they pay for power, and this money goes through the NECO, the Nigeria Electricity Distribution Company, from the DISCOs, the GENCOs, and all of them, and then to the NECO actually regulate. Then what do they do with this money? Now, we may want to also ask the major question of the day, which everybody has been asking: what brought this government into power in the first place, as a fight against corruption? So, if we are saying that Power Firms owns bank 864.14 billion, I mean, it's worsening electricity crisis. We may want to ask, what have they been doing with the money they've garnered so far in energy services? Who audits them? Who check them? And again, talking about power supply, we don't even have it, but yet to still see these guys move around the streets of Nigeria, disconnect. Thank God for the prepaid thing. So without the prepaid, you can't actually have access to power. So people do pay their bills. What do they do with this?
What do they do? Yeah, that is a question this morning as we take on more stories from the Punch. NK Abiola's son asked Buhari to probe father's death. NK Abiola's son asked Buhari to probe his father's death. I think that's long overdue. Ranching, others will deliver 2 trillion naira return on investment according to the federal government. This is interesting. Ranching, others deliver 2 trillion naira return on investment, says the federal government. Remember all the issues and katakata Nigerian word saying that it cannot be ranching. Now the government is saying that ranching and other aspects of the economy will deliver 2 trillion naira to the federal government per year. We are marching on somewhere. We hear Nigeria imports Canadian potato to replace Russian supply. Because of fertilizer breach, Nigeria imports Canadian potash, to replace Russian supply, of course, because of the war.
If you want to look at, I get so worried when I say or read Nigeria import. What are we producing? What are we? What is the agricultural sector in the country producing? We need to ask ourselves question. If we're importing starch, you call it
Potash, yes.
Or potash, because of the Russian-Ukraine war, so there's low fertilizer production. We have to fall into potash to be able to starch whatsoever to be able to. Then we may want to ask, what are we producing? I don't know if you know if you bought bread recently. I'm sure you bought last night for the family. You saw the cost of bread keeps soaring high, and people say it is due to the cost of wheat. Russian-Ukraine war. There is no wheat. Major Nigeria consume the major consumption of Nigerian wheat comes from Ukraine. Now, because of the war, we can't actually produce. People have been saying we should fall back to cassava. Nigeria is one of the largest producers of cassava. Why are we not focusing on that?
That's a question that we need to ask the government again. Well, we continue with the newspaper review. On the Punch, the main headline: dumping rotational presidency will cause crisis, Akredolu senators. And we have the riders. It's South's turn to produce president. Ondo governor wants APC. Akonde, Oshoba, Tinubu, Oshimbajo, Amosun, others meet Friday over Southwest candidacy. Ondo government threatens democracy, CNG. Fayemi, Olawepo Hashim join race. Now let's quickly read the summary of this headline. The chairman of the Southern Governors Forum and governor of Ondo State, Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu, has insisted that the southern part of the country must produce the next president for the country. While we are reading that, let's go on. UN Secretary General Guterres in Nigeria to meet Buhari. Find out the details for yourself as you buy the Punch this morning. EFCC probes Malami's aides over sale of presidential pardon. Wow. Sale of presidential pardon was for sale. That's interesting. Ex-military men plan protest over pension board exclusion. Abba Kyari, drug baron, imported 22 billion naira worth of tramadol, says NDLEA. Hello? Abba Kyari, drug baron, imported 22 billion naira tramadol, says NDLEA. I think you should say something quickly here.
Okay, I think there's a new title added to the name Abakari. The name DCP has been removed, pulled out, and we now have drug baron coming up. That is quite a pathetic one, quite a sorry state for this country. There are those who we place to protect, guide us, uphold the laws, and now they want like they're not just violating the law, they've sat on the law, they dismembered the law, they desecrated the law, which is really quite painful. Now, when we say tramadol, 22 billion worth tramadol has been one drug and the area has been fighting, yes, and youth has been constantly abusing those drugs. So are we saying Abakari was one of those bringing those drugs into the country?
This is serious.
Misleading Nigerian youth?
I just hope that this is just a mistake. Maybe somebody's misquoting NDLA. I just hope, because
I don't see this as a mistake.
22 billion naira worth of tramadol.
Uncle Didi West, you're going to have more of these coming out in later days.
Boy, this is serious. We take another headline there. Ogun police torture motorcyclist to death. Family demands justice. How Lagos building collapsed on praying grandma, businessman searching for apartment. Sorry. FG keeps trained hostages families in the dark. Victims spent 36 days in terrorist den.
Wow.
This has been going on since March, and we just hope there's something happening.
36 days. I think there was one of the presidential aspirants that says what Nigeria needs now is a president that will fight security, looking at the issues of insecurity we've been having in the country over this period. For people to be apprehended, about 200 of them, then we still have some victims. This is 36 days counting, they are still there. It's really a painful one. It's a painful one. I think 2 days ago, the terrorists released a baby bun.
Yes, we actually showed
by
that
one of the
victims. Yes.
Yeah.
We showed that photograph there, and it raised quite a lot of emotional. It was quite painful. Let's go on. Let's take another paper. We're taking the Guardian now, and the Guardian has so many stories on the headline. First of all, it says Disco's deny rejecting 2,495 megawatts of power. I don't know why that is the case. Disco's denied rejecting 2,495.3 megawatts of electricity load as supply remains dismal. And then there's another report, 2023 presidency, Gowon should have allowed Igbo leave, says Clark. 2023 presidency, Gowon should have allowed Igbos leave, says Clark. We also have a report, zoning. Ohaneze youth fault Owazurike for endorsing Bello. Zoning. Ohaneze youth fault Owazurike for endorsing Bello. And another report, Nigerian army condemns killing of 2 officers in Owerri. That's a painful one, very painful one.
Sad story.
It's not right at all. We have the main headline, intense jostle for market share as telcos delve into retail banking. I know this it was just a matter of time before this will come up as an issue. According to the summary, it says a new wave of competition for retail segment of banking has been activated, with MTN and Airtel eyeing a large chunk of the market that has sustained the profitability of many deposit money banks, DMBs, for decades. Now telcos are going in there, and I tell you, the war is not going to be a small matter, because these are big money firms going into somewhere that we once thought was an exclusive hold of banks. You have other headlines. They are saying MTN targets Q4 for PSB service, that is these services and all. We'll move on quickly as we take another headline. It says, why strike may persist in universities by SHANU and NAAT. We also have another report, Nigeria complex but not complicated not complicated to govern, says Obasanjo. Emir of Zazzau suspends 4 district heads over Doba rules. And then the last paper we're taking there, next president must come from southern Nigeria. Akeredolu tells the APC. This is one issue that I believe that both APC and PDP should resolve as soon as possible. Last headline from The Guardian. Peter Obi stresses need to replace sharing with productive formula. Peter Obi stresses the need for the federal government to replace the current sharing formula with production formula. Please get The Guardian and see details of those reports. We go over to our next paper, and that is This Day. This Day today, 4th of May 2022, and we see the first headline there. UN scribe Guterres, the Bono I found today is one of hope. I hope Nigerians share this excitement with him. We also see another report. Telco sees upward review of voice call, SMS, data services, and other costs. And already we read that it will be a 40% price hike. Still on this day, the leading headline says, Akeredolu to Buhari, it's Southerners' turn to produce next president. It's Southerners' turn to produce next president. Obviously, this zoning or no zoning matter is going deeper. We see another report there. NDLEA, Ukata, billionaire drug baron, imported 22 billion worth of tramadol in 1 month. Let's move on.
Confirmation to what
Punch had carried. Yes. Don't keep party waiting, says Akeredolu. Rotational presidency, legal, constitutional, says Bamidele. Clark insists on Igbo presidency, accuses North of oppression. Wants any Southerner agreeing to be vice president unpatriotic. And last from that paper is something that came up yesterday in the United States of America concerning the likelihood of the change of the law concerning abortion. And it says, U.S. Supreme Court orders probe after rare leak of draft abortion ruling. The U.S. Supreme Court is planning, or rather is about coming out with a ruling that will abolish abortion or make abortion illegal. And then now the judgment was leaked weeks before it was released, and the U.S. Supreme Court wants to find how that could have happened. We go on to our next paper, and that is The Nation. And The Nation, of course, again also starts with the issue of zoning or no zoning. APC primaries. Olawapo Hashim joins presidential race. Fayemi, Amosu, Bakare, Akpata to declare their presidential ambition. And they also read Southwest leaders to meet Tinubu, VP, and others. To the right-hand corner of that paper, we see insecurity, INEC officials to reject posting in 4 states. INEC officials to reject posting in 4 states.
Will those people in that state be disenfranchised from voting?
Just the question I was going to ask. If they do this, how will the votes, if the INEC officials who are meant to go and run the elections are saying they will not go, what will be the fate of the eligible voters? Are we going to say that we are going to remove government? Just has to do something?
And again, what of those contesting from that particular state?
Those states.
Is it also a call to action to tighten security issues in Nigeria?
It tells the government that the security matter is not anything lie low. If your agency, a government appointed agency, has officials going somewhere or posted somewhere and they say no, we can't go, because of insecurity. Government has something to do here, and it's no longer a joke.
Has to be
at all. We take the next headline. It says ASU strike negotiation panel report ready. We are hoping that it's a good one. Then we see El-Rufai simultaneous bombing of forests can end banditry. El-Rufai is saying that simultaneous bombing of forests can end banditry. He has a point there, I think, but it means that both the guilty and not guilty terrorists and not terrorists will go with such bombing. I think that's why. That's why they need to have been very careful with that. Reintegration of repentant terrorists necessary for peace, says Guterres. That is UN Secretary General. If you ask Nigerians, I don't know that they will agree with him. We have another one. Let's end zoning suspense. That's still Akeredolu talking about the APC, talking to the APC, and of course, it's not an issue that can be swept under the carpet. We also have another report there. The rider saying for equity, power shift necessary, says GAD and Ingige. And we go over to the next paper, Daily Trust. On Daily Trust today, we find the first headline: 2023 presidency, Tinubu Osinbajo orders Southwest leaders to meet on Friday. 7 years after, federal government FG to implement aviation development roadmap. Thank God, both of us are almost laughing at the same time. If a roadmap was created 7 years ago, and you're about to implement it after 7 years, are the conditions still the same?
Putting current trends, best global practices into consideration.
After 7 years, federal government,
wake up!
Wake up. Yes, we'll come to one issue that concerns all of us: World Press Freedom Day. It happened yesterday, and we're going to take this topic during the People's Parliament, and I'm sure Flora has quite a lot to say. We'll never allow terrorists to have their way. Sultan of Sokoto is speaking. They will never allow terrorists to have their way. I don't know what it means, but you may just buy the newspaper and find out the details of that report. And before we leave here, I want to go back to the issue of this 7 years after. Why do you think it's taking so long to implement this aviation development roadmap?
Okay, so many things. First of all, I will still say insecurity. Of course, you saw what happened that month of March, where Kaduna Airport was attacked, probably insecurity. Because according to the president in one of the news, he said insecurity has created a major setback in several of his policies he hoped to implement. So insecurity one, and again willpower. I just feel the willpower has not been there. There's no push. There's no drive. There are some. The president might have the right policies in place, but he needs the push. We have Minister for Aviation. What is his job over these 7 years when this roadmap was actually collated and of course was given, the president saw it, and of course there was need for implementation of it. What has the Minister of Aviation been doing all this while? These are questions we should be asking. I just feel the willpower wasn't there, and there was no drive, no driving force.
And whatever benefits that the government, the federal government and Nigeria should have earned, have remained there stagnant for 7 years. It's not a pleasant development. Viewers, we will be coming to an end here. We end today's production of Newspaper Review at this point. My name is Didi West, and my guest is my beautiful sister Flora Duke. And we'll just take a short break and we'll be back. And we say we are responsible because we ensure that our broadcasts are human angle positions or focus that ensures that Nigerians' interests are brought to the fore. We are here and we are saying that it's time for people in the local government, people in the grassroots, to have the power to influence things. And that's why if you watch, we ensure that topics we discuss on People's Parliament have to do with essentially the grassroots. Today, we go into People's Parliament, and my name is Didi West, and my guest is Flora Duke.
Thank you for having me.
We'll go straight to the Punch story this morning. Nigerians to pay more as GSM operators plan 40% tariff hike. Off the mic, we did some quick calculations. If we are now paying 4 naira per SMS for every text message that is sent out, by the time you add 40%, it will come to
5.60, 5 naira 60
it will come to 5 naira 60 kobo.
Approximately 6 naira.
Yeah, because somebody may quickly do an approximation and jump it to 6 naira. So it means that any time from now, Nigerians will be paying between 5 naira 60 kobo to 6 naira for each SMS. Then you also get the cost of data will go by 40%. Then cost of calls will also grow by 40%. And we are asking ourselves, how will GSM tariff price increase affect Nigerians? What do you think?
Okay, quite an interesting conversation. Thank you first, Didi, for having me on this particular one. It's quite a sad news, a very, very sad news. And this is coming at the heat where Nigeria is grappling with so much, dealing with so much. We talked about electricity tariff that has been increased over and over. I remember speaking with someone who is a staffer of the NEC. He told me tariff is always reviewed every three months. And 3 months interval there is always an upward review. So in other words, Nigerians have been dealing with that unknowingly. Now, I think it was last year, Nigeria witnessed the biggest blow. That was towards the end of the year where the federal government through the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, talked about increase in removal total deregulation of petrol subsidy. Of course, Nigerians cried and cried, and there was a backlash from the different CSO and organizations and all. But here we are. At some point, I remember Nigerians bought petrol for 320 naira. Someone said it was like a litmus test on the part of the federal government to see if Nigerians will be able to deal with it. But here we have a buying at 165, and that somewhat has actually affected produce, consumables, commodities, staples, daily necessities. Has affected it. Now let's look at data. Let's compare it to what happened in the Sena clan. In Sena clan in the US, people go to school, they have their Wi-Fi on. Government pay for this. People go to classes, they go to learn ski. Government through what's it called, sustainable development goals, helping small scale businesses provide Wi-Fi. This is just something the government does for the people. They call it ease of doing business. But when you bring it down to Nigeria, Nigerians pay for everything. They pay for electricity, they pay for security. Walk through the streets of Rivers State. You see people, they have provided their self-security. You walk into my street, we have gates at the entrance. We have people who we pay. As a matter of fact, yes, to be at the gate. If you don't pay them, they lock you inside. That's Nigerians providing security for themselves. The big question we may want to ask is, what do the government of the day do for Nigerians? What do they give them?
Let me add something there. This question, what do the leaders do for the people, is a question we've been asking since 1999. So it's not against APC. Under Obasanjo, we asked the same question. Under Yar'Adua, we asked the same question. Under Goodluck Jonathan, we asked the same question. And we're still asking. It means, therefore, that somehow we have gloried in self-governance since 1960. We have gloried in democratic practice since 1999. But we're asking the same questions. I dare you, take a newspaper anytime between 1960 and now, and take the newspapers today, you're likely to see the same kind of issues coming up. So, like she just asked, what is the government doing for the people? Because now, the woman who is selling obono in the market, the woman who is selling groundnuts, the man who is selling plastic containers, small ones, just to make some headway, the barber, the seamstress, the woman who has a buka, not a restaurant, buka, has to pay 5 naira 60 kobo to 6 naira to send a text message that once cost 4 naira. If you calculate that over a year, it's something. Let's look at this. It says telecom companies are proposing a 40% increase in the cost of calls, SMS, and data to the Nigerian Communications Commission as a result of rising cost of running business in Nigeria.
And this came after the president boasted that one thing his administration has provided is ease of doing business over the 7 years. Just some words negates what he has actually said. If you say the reason why they are proposing 40% increase is due to the rising cost of doing business, then if you want to talk about cost of doing business, you want to put electricity, you want to put security, you want to put taxes they pay.
Yes, in fact, there's something about taxes here. You mentioned that. You said there's something about increasing excise tax. Let's look at it. We read it earlier.
Yes, I think I wrote it down somewhere.
Yes.
40% perception increase in the cost of doing business. That's one.
Yes.
Energy cost increasing operating expense by 35%. Introduction of exercise duty of 5% on telecom services.
We quickly looked at something online. Flora and I, we quickly checked something online. Now, this is interesting. It says in the stats.oecd.org, an international NGO, says that excise duties consist of special taxes levied on special kinds of goods. Typically alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and fuels. But here in Nigeria, we are putting excise duty on a service that's so sensitive, so important. I don't know.
It's really quite hard. For me, it shows high level of selfishness, self-motivated interest on the part of the government of the day, because these are service providers. They provide services. Of course, they earn money. Why added more? Why give them? Why pull them to walk through the eyes of the needle when you know it's actually going to tell on your people? And again, it may surprise you to know that our leaders don't pay for their service, so they will not even feel the heat. They won't feel the pains. They won't even feel the pain Nigeria have to go through by paying for SMS, cost of data. You know, I think for the past 4 days, 4 weeks rather, I've been complaining that my data hardly last a month. You subscribe, you do the 1 month subscription, and in less than 3 weeks, they're already sending you a message that your data is as exhausted and all of that. Probably they started implementing the 40% increase.
That could be high.
Nigerians, because you know, Nigerians were so engrossed with running for our daily needs. We want to get hit the next target. We're just on the move. Things of this nature, we don't actually pay so much attention to all of these.
It's possible. It's possible. It's quite possible that we already have the increase and we did not know. Now, it's important for us to make one point here. If this government is serious about raising extra cash, why did it look at putting some extra money on wine? the masses do not care for wine. The poor people do not care how much wine costs. So certain group of people, I understand there's wine that costs $500,000 naira, 1 million. Yesterday, 2 days ago, someone said there's a bottle of wine that goes for 2 million. Those are the places that government could have put excise duty on, not on data, SMS, calls that affect. We're calculating the business that will be affected. The hospitals, the restaurants, the tailors,
even the intelligence team.
This is not the right thing to do. And the small businesses will be so affected.
Even businesses
education,
like ours, businesses like ours.
Of course,
media houses,
because we make we use SMS, we use SMS, your data.
Most of the things we do online will
certainly
a lot of data.
This is not, the federal government should do something about it.
What about those youth involved in ICT tech?
Thank you. Thank you.
I keep saying we want to empower youth. We want to youth should leverage on tech to be able to cater for themselves. Now, if the telecoms increase tariff by 40%, how will they survive with the downwinding economy? Quite a touchable one. Now, you just mentioned areas the government can touch in order to cushion the effects of recession, economic wind down. What happened to the cost of governance? We could see where is his name, former Anambra State governor. I don't want to mention his name because it didn't pay us for us to campaign for. Talking about what he did with the governors during his tenure as a governor, how he reduced the cost of running the state. I saw a write-up where he was told that a ream of paper cost 18,000 naira. During his tenure, he said he went out to get the ream of paper for about 700 or 8,000 naira. Imagine, just, what about if the government touched the running cost of governance?
Yes. We have been saying that most of the costs of governance in the country are padded, and not just small padding. You're talking about mountain padding, because I mean, 18,000 naira for ream of paper. Jesus, what was that?
Okay, let's look at the current one. The cost of meal of the president per year. The last time I checked, I saw about 13.something billion just for the president.
And then these things are happening, and we are now putting so much more pressure on the people who are managing to survive.
And their taxpayers.
The other day we were talking about rising cases of suicides and psychological problems. We can go on this, but we need to move on People's Parliament. This morning, we're about to discuss another sensitive issue. We'll take a short break and I'll be back. Yes, you're welcome to OneTV. We continue People's Parliament, and we have changed. We've just discussed the cost of GSM prices going up, but right now we're changing to another topic, and that is World Press Freedom Day. Without Nigerian journalism, without journalism in Nigeria, because journalism in Nigeria has faced certain pressures. And then the government, especially the Minister of Information, keeps saying that Nigeria has the highest quality amount of press freedom and so on. We've been hearing that from the time of Babangida, so it's nothing new. But today we're going to look at these views a bit differently. Yesterday, governor of the Benue State, Governor Otom, said that journalists in Nigeria are doing their job in dangerous circumstances, under dangerous circumstances. Yesterday was World Press Freedom Day, and it's interesting to note that the theme of the celebration is journalism under digital siege. Journalism under digital siege. Now, this is right in the alley of my sister Flora, and I want to ask her, a journalist who practiced for several years. In your view, what do you think about World Press Freedom Day yesterday?
Okay, quite a commemorating day, a day we should commemorate, and thanks to the United Nations for setting that day, made forward aside to celebrate the work we do, appreciate the efforts we put in place to educate, to inform, and to entertain. That's what journalism practice. It sits on the tripod: to educate, to inform, and to entertain. And of course, it's obvious that the world globally has looked at these services, render their oars to set that day aside to appreciate. But I like what the governor has said, that journalists operate under fear. Journalists operate with the unknown at the back of their mind while rendering their service. The reason is not far-fetched, because is an unholy community. When I mean holy community, as a community that stands for or represents or and belongs to none. The community stands for all, represents all, but belongs to none, is not attached to any political party, is not attached to any religious party, is not attached to any cultural or any personality. It's just a community that exists on its own and supports all. But in the current time, these attributes that somewhat separates the practice from every other practices has been questioned. The reason is because politics or politicians now feel they can actually influence the media. They feel they can actually tell the media what to report, what to say, how to say it, and how it should go. This brought about propaganda, which ought not to be so. It now makes people to now say, news. I don't listen to news. Most things in the news are fake.
Especially government media.
Government media, government-owned media. I don't listen to news. At some point, even the privately owned are not being questioned. You see people, I remember being attached to a new organization, people working like, oh, you guys are doing great. I pray you guys are not polluted in the course of time when you start looking for money. I said, people are not having this fear. People are not beginning to question what you do. Like, I just pray you're able to stand firm to do the right thing, no matter what actually happens. And again, we've witnessed in this country where licenses of privately owned are being withdrawn. Yeah, and again, not to forget, how do you get licensed to operate as a media? You have to go through the presidency. From the president have to sign the license. I've seen people who stay 10 years, 15 years. They even die in waiting to obtain license. Is it ought to be so? For a company that want to inform the society, a company that want to, or a community that want to educate the society.
Let me interrupt you here, please. There's this question there's this thing that government has been telling us for almost every time, that Nigeria has the freest press in the world. What do you think?
One would say the freest press in the world. Yeah. I don't know on what basis the government of the day had to justify that. I don't know. But if you ask me if Nigeria has the freest presses in the world, I would say no. Because why? As I remember doing something on there, and someone said, don't allow the government walk into the studio. I remember also was to be employed in our company, my former previous company. The person was like, hope there is a security door, hope the place is tight and all of that. I remember a friend of mine in this state, he was in the studio, the DSS came to him. After he finished his show, he was arrested and moved to Abuja immediately. So these are the things. I don't know on what basis the government of the day had to say that Nigeria have the press freedom across the world. I don't know. then we may want to ask.
We
may want to review what
review.
CNN did during the period of American election where Trump lost election to the current President Biden. Do you know why? Because the media was fully involved. That's press freedom. But you can't do that in Nigeria.
Now, let's look at what the Nigerian Union of Journalism is saying. It says here in Daily Trust, you can get a copy of Daily Trust today. It says, journalists in Nigeria express worry that the space of freedom of expression had been constricted in the country, that is Nigeria, especially with cases of harassment, arrest and detention of journalists. This is happening. The people in the union, people who are practicing journalism in the country are telling us there's harassment, there's arrest, and there's detention of journalists. And the government is saying otherwise. Somebody has to tell us where we stand. And I'm looking at something here, is requesting the government to show commitment and uphold the right to freedom of expression.
Didi, let's just look at the recent one that played at NSAS 2022 protest. I don't know if you could still remember. Can you give a count? Can you remember the number of journalists that was apprehended, arrested? It took CSO to come out and protest for them before they were released.
Yes.
I take you back to the just recent one, last year, 2021, memorial protest, NSAS memorial protest. We saw videos of journalists arrested. They were there to cover the news. Just a more recent one that happened in Lagos 2 months ago, or last month in March. Lekki Toll Gate, the Lagos State government planned to reopen the Lekki Toll Gate. Of course, the Lagosian resisted that you have to release all of those who you arrested during the NSAS protest. I remember one major television station reporter was there to cover. We saw the police with uniform covering the cameras,
yes,
threatening the reporter. Of course, the guy stood his ground to still report what was on ground at the Lekki Toll Gate. So, can we say that Nigerian journalists enjoy freedom? Question. The answer is
yeah. You raised a question about NSAS, and what came to my mind is if we had only relied on journalists, the reports that eventually the whole world has would not have come. Thank God for that smart girl, DJ Sweet, that changed the course of, if the government had known that smartphones could record these things, maybe they would have, first of all, impounded all the smartphones on that. We know
the reason they are increasing. Telecom service.
So,
we enjoy.
Press freedom in Nigeria, that's a big red question mark. But for me, I don't think that there's freedom in the way the government wants us to believe. And it's something that we need to take home and encourage ourselves. The likes of Dele Giwa.
Yeah. Oh, we can't forget him in a hurry.
We can't forget him. It's in such times like this, that the likes of Dele Giwa come to mind. And we are hoping somehow, maybe very soon, we'll begin to have bold press investigative journalism. That is, I don't know when that is. It going to happen again in this country?
It's going to happen when we begin to practice real democracy. And I hope the 2023 election give us what Nigerians has been crying for, for a leader for the people, a leader that belongs to the people, but not attached to any particular persons or any particular people. You know, I remember the speech of the current president when he assumed office. He said, I belong to nobody.
And I belong to everybody.
Everybody. You know, that speech, that sentence alone speaks a volume, but what is the body language? What can we deduce from the body language? So we hope for that day where Nigeria, we have a leader that will truly belongs to everybody, but for nobody.
In words and in action.
Yes.
That is where we are going to pull the curtains this morning on People's Parliament. We have been discussing, is there true freedom of press in Nigeria, and we are asking you to send in your comments via our social media handles, and of course we will get them out here for you to know what the Nigerians are thinking. My name is Didi West. We are coming to the end of the program. Before we leave, we say thank you to Flora Duke.
Thank you.
A journalist that has operated in different places and is somebody whose views are worth taking home for that discourse. It's on that note that we'll end today's program. See you tomorrow as we come on board again. Bye.